Good morning, Terrell here. In this video, we're going to be installing these new parts into this new block, or into this block. I'm going to be cleaning it, making sure it's ready to go, putting it onto a table and putting a nice little mat down, making it look as clean as I possibly can. I'm going to start with cleaning this actually on the ground, getting all the silicone off and stuff like that, putting it outside. I'm going to use a degreaser and spray it all off, get it as clean as I possibly can, see if I can make this block look newish. And then, like I said, put this on the table and make it look as clean as possible for a rebuild. I got one half of one of the blocks done as far as the initial removal of gasket stuff, as you just saw. I'm gonna get the other side done. I'm not gonna record this side, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put them back both in the yard, spray some degreaser on them, and we're gonna blast these things and then brake clean them off and see how clean we can get them. All right, all the silicone and stuff is pretty much removed off both blocks. Now I'm gonna go ahead and spray with some 409 or some other degreaser, get as much of this stuff like off as I can, spray it down, get some brake clean on it, and get some oil in some areas and make this look as clean as I possibly can. There was a before and now. Sorry about the lighting, but see, she looks significantly better. I just brake cleaned her off really well, got any kind of water residue out. I'll put some oil on the inside of these cylinders soon, but looking a lot shinier, a lot nicer. All right, block is cleaned. Cylinders are more honed. Next step, let's get this crank out of this box and let's put the rods in the crank, make sure they're torqued down, make sure that everything looks good there. Let's get at least the bottom end done this morning. Opening box up, and the crankshaft's nicely wrapped in here. Fresh new crank, all the journals look gorgeous. I'm excited to build this. Starting off with rod number 1, we're gonna take the bolts out, or I guess the nuts off. This little arrow needs to face forward towards the front of the crankshaft. The inside of these rods, I'm always going to wipe down with a clean rag. Make sure they're nice and dry. You don't have any wetness or oil in there. Install 2 new fresh rod bearings. This is the top half, of course. Needs to be nice and even on both sides like that, and the little thing inside there. Add a little tiny bead on both of these of just some break-in oil. Just like that. Add it to this one just as well. Now, OEM torque specs are 38.5 foot-pounds. So we're going to torque these down to that. Make sure we go nice and evenly with both sides. Two. Now see how the movement is. Gorgeous. No in and out play. A little bit of movement on side to side like it's supposed to be. Beautiful. No friction. Smooth. Gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of the 3. Make sure that little arrow is pointing forward and get this bottom end done. Same thing with rod number 2. Make sure that arrow is pointing towards the front of the crankshaft. A little bit of assembly lube. Rod number 2 is torqued on. Gorgeous movement, side to side, no in and out. Beautiful. Do number 3 and 4 now. Number 3 is on, gorgeous movement. I'm just rubbing on the back of this. No in and out whatsoever. She's good. One last rod and then this bottom end is ready. And just like the rest of them, this last rod is perfect. No in and out, a little bit of side to side like they're normally supposed to be. So this is nice and ready, good to go. Tonight I'm getting a barrier home for the cylinder walls. Make sure they're golden and crispy. And then we'll put this block together and then drop all 4 of the new pistons in. They are weiseco, I believe. And the short block will be done after that. Well, the EJ205 block that we're rebuilding, I had it dropped off to the machine shop. There's some, not scoring, but some weirdness in one of the cylinders, so I got it checked out. And it's a strange angle, sorry, but this is a cylinder that was leaking, and 5 thousandths out as far as wear on the inside of the cylinder right there. So that's where the compression was going. So now I'm gonna I have another block at home. I'm gonna pull apart, make sure that one's good, make sure the cylinders are great, and we're gonna build that block up with that one. So today's gonna be pulling that block apart. Probably won't record that, but I'll get that apart and get this thing started back together. All right, I found one of my other blocks I had here that's had a spun bearing at one point in time. I've cleaned it out thoroughly, and I just got the walls berry honed. Look how they look now. My lighting is terrible, so I really can't show you very well right here, but walls are good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the bottom of this, make sure it's all good and clean, and then put this probably together in a few minutes and start getting a short block ready for this EJ205. All right, just dropped the new main bearings inside of the block. I'm gonna go ahead and lube them up, put the crank and the rods in this and the seals, and then put some silicone on and get these case halves together. I'm gonna talk about this on my Instagram and on YouTube. If you label things for me, I love it. It's so much simpler. If you drop off a bag of gaskets for me and they say coolant crossover pipe O-rings, thank you so much. Shout out to this young man for labeling everything. The short block is currently getting tightened and crank moves without hardly trying. Nice clearance there. Hard to record right now. I can't find my tripod and my son is being loud, but the short block is done for the CJ205, or the stub Rex. So next step, I'm sorry, the short block's together. So now I gotta put the pistons in, make sure piston rings are all to clearance spec for these cylinder walls, drop them in, and the short block will be complete. All right, good morning. I am waking up and I'm gonna go ahead and start putting, I think, the CJ205 together. We got some, I believe they're weiseco pistons. I'm gonna pull them out of the box, measure the ring gap, make sure they are where we want them to be. If not, obviously I'll follow them down. I'm gonna start dropping them in this block. A little bit of opening action, see if I can do this all on camera. Break the tape. Yes, I'm using a key because I don't want to grab scissors right now. Look at that. Nice weiseco Performance products. Get these boys out. Set them on top of my freezer. And let's see how they look. Nice, they're white pistons. Just kidding, of course. They are silver, and that is a beautiful piston. Look at that. Get a little side picture. Ooh, clickbait right there. I just checked these rings and I need to cap them. So using the specs provided by weiseco, I got the top rings spec'd out and the middle ring is actually already to spec I want it to be. So I don't have to touch the middle ring, which is nice. Top one's done. I'm gonna go ahead and drop these on the piston, get this piston in this cylinder. I'll just show you it once it's in. Terrible attempt at trying to show you this, but I got the bottom in so it doesn't move. Got the other side up on top up here and this bottom ring in. All right, makes me pretty excited, but she's in, wrist pin in, end clip in. You gotta always put the other side end clip in before you get the piston in, but this one's done. Should be able to rotate by hand. I'll go ahead and get started on cylinder 3. Get this side done and then flip it around and start with the other side. Now that is smooth. Move that without really any struggle at all. Second piston's in. You can see the end ring is in and everything's good, nice and tight in there. I'm gonna go ahead and put this plug in, put the front plug in, flip the block over and get the other side going. This is back so far. And there's my last. It's got beautiful, it's exactly the right size I want it to be. Just to show you that I actually am measuring these, I'm not just guessing, obviously. Cylinder 2 pistons in. I'm about to drop in cylinder 4 piston, and then this block will be complete and I'll put it on the engine stand. Just like that, cylinder 4 wrist pin and end clip are in. And I got a short block finally. All right, she's finally on the stand. This EJ205 build is gonna start commencing. So I'm gonna flip it over, go ahead and start with the oil pan stuff with the Killer Bee oil pickup, the baffle, and actually get the oil pan on, and then heads, same as that block. Heads on, and then do probably oil pump, coolant crossover, and everything else. Just glad the block's all together and looking pretty, and finally getting somewhere with this thing. Alright, you saw obviously the engine's on the stand. I just went ahead and put all the head studs in the block, made sure they all bottomed out. And the next step is probably gonna put the heads on because we don't have an O-ring for the Killer Bee oil pickup extender yet. Probably get that in the morning. I'm not sure if I'll get these heads on tonight or not. But you can see that all the headsets are in on both sides. So next up would just be the head gasket and the head. I might do one side, I might do both, or I might do none tonight. I haven't decided what yet. Well, I've decided I'm gonna do the oil pump tonight. Get this out of the way because it's a little bit tedious. I got the front main seal in. I'm gonna go ahead and put the front little seal on the engine and then silicone this up and install this on the engine. All right, oil pump is on. Looks beautiful, nice and torqued down. Squish came out nice and even. Alrighty, the O-ring just showed up for this oil pickup, so now it's on. Got the nice Killer Bee oil pickup, the extender on down here with the O-ring on the bottom and on the oil pickup. Got the extensions down there and both of these two bolts in for the oil baffle. Now oil pan. All right, new head gasket going on the driver's side of this engine. Oops, there we go. Nice on that dowel, and of course with this on. All right, both heads have been decked. This one's on. I got all the washers on. I'm gonna go ahead and install the assembly lube from ARP on all the threads and all the bottom of all the nuts. Tighten them down and then torque it down 30, 60, and 90. Well, the coolant crossover was leaking, as you can see, and I just figured out why. Nice and hand tight. So I'm gonna get that thing nice and tightened up, clean all this up, and get the coolant crossover on. Of course, clean both these gasket surfaces as well. Alrighty, second head gasket's on. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the head on. Look how nice these things look. Gorgeous. They've been torqued to 30, 60, 90 in a nice pattern like that. I'm gonna put the cams back on and then bring the engine down flat, clean both these intakes off, and see where I get to tonight. I'm currently cleaning the intake tops. That's how it looked kind of before. That's how it looked after. And that's gonna do for tonight. In the morning, I'm gonna hopefully get the headers on this thing. Alright, I got back to this head. This is the EJ205. Currently cleaning up all these, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put some assembly lube, install both cams, make sure all this silicone's cleaned off from whoever previously did this incorrectly. Swap these half moon seals out for some new ones, and then do the same thing to the other side, and probably get the valve covers done. Kind of hard to hold the camera and record some of this, but got the valve cover nice and cleaned up both sides. I'm gonna go ahead and install it. Brand new valve cover gasket. Got the half moon seals already on with silicone on them, and then I'm gonna go ahead and silicone the tops, and then this side will be done. Beautiful layer of silicone around here. I'm gonna go ahead and install this valve cover. I got fresh gasket on it and fresh middles. Just like that. Both valve covers are done and looking nice and shiny. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and time this thing. Put the cam seals on, all the cams, the timing stuff, new water pump. Let's get that going. Beautiful new Aizen water pump. Go ahead and put this thing on. That water pump looks amazing. Next step is connect these water pump lines from the old pump to the new one. And then timing covers and timing belt tensioner bracket. I just pulled these two lines off and they both broke very easily. So we're gonna get those two replaced. Water pump and that pulley's on, and those two idlers are on, and this cover. So once I get two new lines here and here, this cover will go on, and then this bracket, and then I can time it. Getting some stuff done today. It feels really good. I just got the headers on. There's OEM headers currently. Not the oil pump, the oil pan, sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and get the external wastegate set up. And all that's left is time this engine, and then intake, and of course, wiring, stuff like that. And one of the better performance modifications is the external wastegate uppipe, and I just installed that. Looking nice and pretty, a little Grimspeed uppipe, external wastegate and a screamer pipe. Kind of at a stopping point here, unless I want to put the intake manifold on, but I'm kind of running out of motivation today. However, I got the, I saw the uppipe with the external wastegate on. And he's upgrading from a TD04 to a VF48. I already put the external wastegate bracket on, so she's nice and tight and ready to go in the car. I like to put the intake manifold on first, that way that I don't have to worry about the turbo in it. I put the turbo lid on, and then I put the turbo kind of into it like that. All right, the two coolant lines got here, so these are both are brand new now. And I just put the tensioner bracket on, and then this back cover, both of the timing gears, that side's already tight. And then I got the oil dipstick in, I gotta still put the bolt in, but that's all done. So I'm gonna put the tensioner in here, put the belt on this thing, and get it timed. I went ahead and timed it real quick. We got the middle on perfectly. Got this one on, got that one on, got this on perfectly, and that. All right, I got it timed, got the covers on, putting the new thermostat in at the moment. Alrighty, this front is basically done. Got the crank pulley nice and torqued on. I just cleaned the intake. I'm gonna go ahead and install the intake manifold on here, and then I'm gonna install the new injectors we have. And obviously plug everything in, and then it should just be the turbo, and it's almost ready to drop in the car. Just like that, got the intake manifold on, got the AC, and also engine mount on to, I'm sorry, not engine mount, but grabbing part, which you put the hoist on. And yes, I have a mullet. Anyhow, intake manifold's on, all nice and bolted down. I don't plug the crank sensor in so I can get oil pressure when I I put the coil packs in on both sides, but I just got the turbo mounted up. I still got to get this oil line tight on the bottom here, and I'm gonna get new crush washers for this bolt up here. So the wastegate looks good. Got the turbo drain line on, brand new coolant line on. We'll have a new coolant line from here to the reservoir, and then from the reservoir down to the bottom. But she's almost ready to go back in the car now. I was gonna do this tonight, but it's warm and I'm tired, so I think in the morning I'll probably end up dropping this motor in when there's better daylight. Get this thing in and maybe fire up tomorrow. We'll see what happens. All right, this morning I just installed the new STI blue injectors. We got one right there and one right there. And then of course on this side, same thing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take the engine off the stand and lift it with the, obviously lift, and then put the clutch flywheel pressure plate and the rear main seal on. And then it's ready to drop back in the engine, or in the car. All right, the rear main seal is on. This cover plate is nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and silicone this one on and put the new bolts in. This man wanted to do an ACT new clutch kit, so we go ahead and install a saw bearing, and then I'll install the flywheel with the new pilot bearing and clutch and pressure plate. And then it's about ready to drop in, but I need to still take the springs out of the wastegate and check them and see what spring rate we're at. I think it should be pretty smart to at least check that before I put it back in the car. All right, new saw bearing is installed, nice and perfectly, got the clips on. Next step is gonna be flywheel. And now she's looking spicy. Got an ACT clutch on here. So the wastegate and turbo's all bolted down, looking nice and pretty. A couple of things to finish up here, but I'm gonna install one stud here, and then this motor should be about ready to drop in after I check these springs. I just confirmed with this customer that this thing has no springs in it. I just opened it up and it doesn't. I got a black spring and a red, which is gonna be about 14.5 PSI. I'm gonna set that up, and I think this STI stock turbo with these injectors and a new fuel pump is going to probably shine at the 14-15 area. And then just a little bit of wastegate duty to probably closer to 20, and it'll probably love it. All right, finally got the wastegate and everything back to being tight again with 14-pound spring in. And currently getting the engine raised up, and going to go ahead and drop this back in the car today. Keep going, buddy. Nice. All right, engine's about to go in. Just like that, the motor is almost snugged away. Put a couple bolts in here and it should be nice and tight. All right, this engine's in and I'm currently installing the cylinder for cooling mod. Got the back piece on. I'll go ahead and put this adapter T-piece in and then tighten everything down, and that should be good with the coolant stuff. And then I have this one line here. In the front will just be the radiator. Not much recording today, but radiator's in, all the belts are on, all the front stuff's done. There's still tight CO2 sensor. I got coolant line up on top here, so I need to do the coolant line on the bottom. Make sure this oil line's perfect here. I got the cylinder for cooling mod on. Got the fuel lines all routed correctly. It's getting together. So a couple more things left. And this thing should start probably tomorrow. I'm running out of daylight today, and unfortunately I don't have any fluids. And currently loading in a car. So I will hopefully get fluids tomorrow, and then we'll see if I can get a good start. And also I gotta do the entire exhaust and the fuel pump. So got a few things to do left. All right, hopefully this is the last morning of working on this car. Got the motor mounts tight, got the lower radiator hose tight, and I got the coolant and the turbo oil lines on the turbo nice and tight. I'm gonna work on getting this exhaust off, and then I think it'll mostly just be fluids and a fuel pump, and then she's about to the point where I can start her. There's the old exhaust. Got a stock big muffler on here. We'll go ahead and remove this entire thing. Okay, look at that. Beautiful new down cap back is on. Nice pretty muffler. Got downpipe. Gotta get the downpipe on. And then I think the bottom end stuff is done. Well, I guess the external wastegate as well. We'll get that on. And then the downpipe. Then I can finally lower this car on the ground, start putting some fluids in her. We've got the external wastegate, dump pipe routed beautifully over the axle, won't be touching. Got the downpipe on and got the ultra sensor in. Turbo, everything else is tight here. So almost done on top finally. Downpipe is nice and beautifully tight. Got the mid pipe tight. Down here, you can see she's sitting nice and pretty, and the back pipe is also nice and tight. We'll go ahead and lower it down, get an oil filter on this thing, fill it with fluids, hopefully get first start in the next couple hours. Alrighty, first crank about to start. I got coolant and oil in here, and the crank sensor unplugged, so it should not spark or anything, but let's make sure she cranks over and at least sounds decent. Alright, coolant is currently bleeding very slowly. Just top out the oil. I'm gonna go ahead and do first start here. See how she sounds. No intercooler on and no mass airflow. I want to make sure that we don't have any leaks, so I just want to leave everything open. Just a quick start, let it just, yeah. Well, as you saw, it started. We have a small oil leak at the turbo banjo bolt on top. One of the crush washers didn't crush, it kind of just flattened. So I'm gonna go ahead and get new crush washers for the turbo, and then basically going to be just dropping fuel pump in and then tuning. I'll probably end this video with this car idling absolutely perfect as far as AFR, and maybe a little quick drive. Alrighty, just gotten pulled the fuel pump out of this 1996 Subaru. Very old. After this, all I have left is the intercooler pipe from the blow-off valve to the turbo inlet. I forgot to put it on, so once that's in, tuning. Let's see here. New fuel pump in. Sounds like she's priming. Make sure she starts with the fuel pump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, got fuel pressure. And this morning we are currently, I just changed the tuning on this Subaru that's direct swapped, this 996 4-door. I installed the intercooler bottom hose, so everything's done. I'm just updating the tune, putting the scaling for the injectors in, and then after this I'm gonna make sure the mass airflow is dialed in, and she should be about ready to put some braking miles on. Starting the flash. Alright, she's good to go. Turn off the key, unplug the ring connector, and then let's do first startup, and I'm gonna let the coolant bleed the rest of the way, and hopefully we can get some miles on her. Running nice and pretty. Here's a little walk around. Nice sounding idle. Quite down to a low idle yet, but you can see it's adding about 12%. I'm gonna wait and see what it actually starts learning, but 12% means I need to add a little more fuel, probably in the mass airflow scaling on this car. All right, we just rescaled the mass airflow, and now look at this. We're down to 0% to almost 1% correction at idle. AFRs look beautiful. Not showing up on camera very well, but it's about a 15, 14.8.